previously believed. Well, that's what happened to the people we're about to meet. Ordinary people whose lives suddenly took extraordinary turns. What were the reasons? Well, that's for you to decide. As we look at events that seem to defy rational explanation. Stories that are beyond chance.
Tonight on Beyond Chance, this couple survived a nighttime plane crash in the ocean, but would they survive the swim to shore?
Nicole can't swim. She's afraid of the dark. All I could think of was, what are we going to do?
Then,
there wasn't time to do anything.
A freak accident turns into a fiery fight for life.
My first thought was, why am I looking at concrete when I'm supposed to be at home with my baby on maternity leave?
Plus, Kay had a successful kidney.
This program is sponsored by Walgreens, the Pharmacy America trusts.
Keeping your photographs organized has never been easy. But now with the Kodak Picture CD at Walgreens, you can store and organize all your new photos. What's more, the CD includes free software that allows you to crop photos, reduce...
Every year, more than 3 million Americans are injured in traffic-related accidents. Each accident is the result of a unique combination of circumstances. And as 2 women in Florida found out, the difference between safety and disaster can be a matter of a second, or in this case, an inch. On the morning of September 14th, 1999, Wendy Patton was about to meet a friend for lunch. After 2 months at home with her baby daughter Emily, Wendy wanted to get back to her career and catch up with friends and associates.
Wendy and I met years ago. Then we became even closer friends when we started a network called Commercial Real Estate Women here in town.
Lunch with Nancy was going to be a reminder of everything that had been happening at work, get me fired up again.
Wendy and Nancy were going to meet with a third woman, but when she canceled unexpectedly, they changed their lunch plans.
I was picking Wendy up around 11:30, and she says to me, "You know the back way into the Olive Garden, don't you?" I said, "Oh, yeah, sure." So I make the turn onto Woodbury.
Woodbury Road crossed Interstate 75, where, at that very moment, disaster was about to strike, in the form of a 40-ton, 18-wheel truck.
My fiance and I, we were driving back from taking her daughter to the dentist, and I noticed a truck, a couple cars ahead of me, had blown a tire. I saw the rubber come off. He was definitely trying to pull the rig back on the road, but the weight of the trailer kept straightening the truck out. He went through the barricade, maybe 3.5 feet thick, at the base, like it was nothing, and off the embankment he went.
Just then, Nancy and Wendy drove underneath I-75.
There wasn't time to do anything.
The truck came off the embankment, bounced, and then hit the car on the top of the car and took it across to the other embankment.
In the impact, one of the truck's 55-gallon fuel tanks had burst into flame.
I thought, oh my God, there's nobody alive in there. And that was the worst motor vehicle accident I've ever seen.
Kevin Stowell parked his car and cautiously approached the burning wreck. Almost immediately, he was joined by workers from a nearby meatpacking plant.
We heard the loud explosion and saw the fire and smoke and came running down about 300 to 350 yards is about how far away the plant is from here.
The plant workers were joined by people from a nearby apartment complex who brought household fire extinguishers to try and fight the flames, but it looked hopeless.
First thoughts up close was that there's no way anybody could be alive.
The smoke was black, it was thick. You could, if you've ever smelled diesel burn, you know, it's pretty suffocating. And I got about 20 feet from the gas tank, and I heard somebody scream.
I started to scream for help like I've never screamed before.
By some miracle, the truck had struck, but not entirely crushed, the passenger area of Nancy's car, Nancy and Wendy had escaped death by a matter of inches, but they had both been temporarily knocked unconscious, and Wendy had suffered short-term memory loss.
My first thought was, why am I looking at concrete when I'm supposed to be at home with my baby on maternity leave?
As the women regained consciousness, the men realized they had to rescue them before the fire from the truck spread to the car. Ironically, they were helped in this disaster by another disaster. On that morning of September 14th, 1999, Hurricane Floyd was nearing the southern tip of Florida, sending hundreds of thousands fleeing from their homes. And it was the distant edge of this hurricane that saved the two women from burning to death.
Smoke was being fanned by the 20-mile-an-hour plus winds that we had that day with that approaching hurricane.
And the wind was blowing the fire, the diesel fuel fire, away from our car.
And one more twist of fate stopped the diesel fire from spreading. The crash had caused the truck's cargo, 7,500 gallons of orange juice, to flood the road.
We saw literally hundreds of broken cartons of orange juice.
And the orange juice mixed with the fuel and dispersed the fuel around the accident site.
The orange juice spilled over onto the roadway definitely helped suppress and extinguish that fire that was caused by the 18-wheeler at that point in time.
Nancy crawled out the driver's side window, but Wendy wasn't able to move. She was lifted out of the passenger side window by 3 men, including Kevin Stowell, who, in another 1,000,000-to-1 stroke of luck, was a Navy veteran with emergency medical training. But the full extent of Wendy's luck wasn't apparent until doctors discovered that the crash had fractured her spine.
She had a complex fracture involving the 4th segment of her cervical spine. She had an unstable spine on both the left and the right side at the same level, and very often in that situation, people come into the hospital paralyzed, unfortunately.
But thanks to Kevin Stowell's professional skill in removing her from the car, Wendy's spine was still in perfect alignment, and there was no nerve damage. She would not be paralyzed. Her spinal injury could be repaired with lightweight titanium plates.
She came out completely intact neurologically. She was beyond very lucky. This is a once-in-a-decade type of scenario. The next day when I saw the picture of her car, I thought, how could she possibly have come out looking so good from a car that was smashed that completely?
Sadly, the driver of the truck was fatally injured. After several days in critical condition, he died in his wife's arms. Although both Wendy and Nancy will require ongoing medical attention, the fact of their survival has changed the way they live their lives.
I know that I take every day a lot slower. I am more thoughtful. I am not so targeted just on my career.
And what I've really come to understand is that I need to live my life differently as a result, and really for the better. Enjoying your children, family, and friends, living life till its fullest.
There are still questions that can never be answered. Why did the accident take place to these people at just that time, in just that way?
The devil's in the details, and the details very seldomly line up like this.
I looked over the edge at what really could have been, and I know just how delicate a balance we live in. What really happened to make all this work out is unknown to me.
I still don't know why we were in the accident. I'm sure there's a reason, because I feel there's a reason for everything.
I'm not sure that I was meant to be tested that day or scared. I just think things can really happen.
Next, meet a woman who has a history of